What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Just the Total Package, Craig the British Bulldog, and Uncle Cuz, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside stories, just stories from... I'm sorry. No inside sources, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. You guys got me today. I heard you whispering and you fucked me up. Today's topic, how to save AEW. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher Podcast. Oh my God, and Google Podcasts. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, can you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast? Again, that was how to save AEW. If you couldn't tell, because I wrecked the intro. Probably worse than I've done in about a year. That's why we call him
One Take Dave right there. One Take Dave.
There it is. I usually don't mess up.
It's actually the only. I legitimately believe that's the only time you've ever messed up.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Honestly, that is true. We've never actually stopped and had to redo an opening.
So having said that, we're gonna have to let you go.
Everything okay at home, Dave?
Yeah. After this episode, I'm God.
That is very true. He never flubbed before.
No.
100 and 200. What episode are we on?
I don't know. It's
200.
240. This will be 242, right?
Yep, 242, and then you got to count all the unscripted.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. I've been very clear that I don't think AEW does not need saving, but there's a lot of people out there that do. We talk about it on streams almost every single week.
The topic is how to fix it.
How to fix it.
Oh,
that's what I was gonna say. Oh, brother, I fucked up on the border of this episode. Brother.
We're talking about opportunities.
I want to do it. We're going to do it more. Brother. Yeah, there's no bullet points.
They're not challenges. They're opportunities.
Because I'm like, I don't think it needs saving. I don't know what we're talking about.
No,
fixing,
how to fix AEW.
Yeah, I mean, even WWE, we talked about fixing it for years, right? And
yes,
it's better than it has been a long time. We haven't talked about fixing WWE in a long time. But AEW is, I mean, I would say it's not hit the skids, but there's some tweaking.
It's in a difficult position, and I think that, I mean, I want to freeform this, but none of us have ran our own wrestling company, so
sure.
You know, I want to put that right out there because the fact that we don't know the answer.
We did.
We did run a back
head booker for the OWF, so.
I mean, we didn't profit from anything, but
because there's a lot of things that go into it. But I mean, doing it. But he is in an odd position on top of all of it because the last really competitive promotion he bought Vince, and I say Vince bought in 2001. Like, so it's like, you know, TNA was never really competition. There's been no competition for WWE since 2001. And AEW is the only company that came out. TNA had to fight for everything they got. They had to fight for the Spike TV deal. They had to fight, and then Dixie ruined that. But I mean, like, it's hard. It just goes to show that it's hard. What Vince did is extraordinary. And to keep a pro wrestling company afloat like he has, and WWE's gone through ups and downs. There's been bad years, but I mean, like, and bad groups of years. But PG era.
Yeah.
But I mean, they still kept it. It was still a machine. Vince has worked so hard that even during the down eras, like, it's still a profitable business.
Still making money.
It's still this monster machine.
It did more than sustain in those periods.
Yeah. So it's not easy. If there's a lesson that you learn from the rise and fall of WCW, from the incarnation of TNA, from AEW so far, it's that it's not easy. And Vince has done something that nobody could really do. You could think you can do it. You could be a jaded wrestling fan and say, I want to watch what I like. And then when you put what you like on, you realize quickly that what you like isn't what attracts the masses. And that's what Vince is so good at, is he attracts the casuals and the masses. No one's been able to do it. Bischoff did it for this long. And then other than that, no one's ever challenged Vince at all. And AEW's not a challenge anyway. But I wanted to go around the table and just talk about how would we fix it. And the reason why I say it needs fixing, ratings are sagging. Attendance is not good at all, right? Half the arenas are empty. If they have a 15,000 seat venue, they put, 8,000, 7,000 people in there. Yep. That's not good.
November 15th, Dynamite in Ontario, California has only locked off that arena for 3,700 seats, and there's like 1,800 available. So,
yeah,
with a month to go.
And that's not good. And they have to do something to turn it around. And again, I don't know, turn it around. I'm not saying become the WWE or beat the WWE. Because by the way, if there are some people that think
No.
that that's turning it around. That's never going to happen. They're
won't.
never going to beat the WWE. It's not possible. Their thumbprint on the industry, their length of being around.
You don't have
history,
the
yeah,
you don't
the
have
history.
the you don't have the endorsement and backing of what WWE has. I mean, every sponsor is going to be able to hold them above water. It's ridiculous. You
Well-
can't even compare the two. I mean, it's
there's so
such a
many
You're
things
never
I
gonna
want to
have
address in
families
this
watching
episode, but
pay-per-views of AEW, like
yeah,
young families together.
I think the big thing is, the vocal minority, which are the losers on Twitter and social media, which really don't fucking matter.
That's-
And I think
why are you
Vince has
talking to me
proved
like
that to you. I think Tony Khan listens to the vocal minority. And I think that's a problem for him.
Can
And I
I-
think that
Oh, he does. He
that's
definitely does.
really to start it off.
Can I start?
Sure.
Maybe I'm just. I
Go
hope I
ahead.
don't make this too quick. Like it's a quickie. But I think you should tear a playbook off of Eric Bischoff if you want to do it right, and start not so much to worry about the venue. And what I mean by that, I mean you can have your pay-per-views, and this is where I would differ from Bischoff. That you could take a piece and then you take a different piece. The biggest thing that Bischoff I think was regretted was having all these small venues booked for all of his pay-per-views for 2 years, because he would go to Monday Nitro and sell out like 20,000 seat stadiums, and then he would go to a pay-per-view and he only have 8,000 people because that's what he booked for the pay-per-view over time. It was all pre-done. Tony Khan needs to take the playbook of, hey, why don't we go to Florida or something like that, where someone's just going to let us sit there and tape, and people can just come in for free. Something of that nature, where nobody cares about you take an NWA playbook. Nobody cares about the fan base in there. Get it on tape, get it somewhere, not even on tape, get it live, and have people watch it for the viewership, have people watch it for the clicks, have people do that. And then when your pay-per-views come around, like he's already done, that part's locked in. Like Full Gear's going to be fine. He went to Wembley and got almost 80,000 people in there. That was fine. No one's talking about that anymore, but I think you should. You keep your pay-per-views on high level, you sell the seats, but then you just stop trying to travel for all of your weekly stuff and put it in one place and put it on camera and air it live or air it the next day, whatever you want to do. And don't worry about the seat venue and worry about the viewership. And
Of
that's
all the flawed things about WCW, I think the house show business was probably one of the most flawed. The people that were running it didn't really know what they were doing. They were just on cruise control. They didn't really care. They weren't really motivated to figure it out. They blamed the lack of their success in the house shows on television. Television would blame it on the fact that they couldn't get a crowd in the arena to tape a show that would actually look good because nobody showed up. So it was this constant pointing back and forth and blaming back and forth. It was a political ping pong match. And really, though, it really came down to the way that the house show business ran.
Viewership. And that's where Bischoff started to make money for the first time ever in a WCW venture. They profited because they didn't have to worry about all that. Just kill it. Just kill it. And then if it takes off, you can think about going again. But that's where you need to start. Worry about your TV deals. Screw your seat buys for your weekly stuff, and worry about your pay-per-views if you want to sell gate. And start there, and you'll be okay, because his gates on pay-per-views are great. They're fine. Just tape it and allow a couple hundred people in there, even if they just want to get out of the heat, like they said in Florida Disney. That's what Bischoff was like. We just got people in there that didn't want to be there. Just wanted to get out of. Just wanted air conditioning. That's how it started. That's where I think you should start. Like, stop worrying about what seats you're filling for your weekly tapes. I don't care, and the TV deals don't either. By the way, sorry, I took way too long.
I think for them to go into a 200-seat venue is admitting defeat, and they're going to crawl back in a hole. I think that they need to do. But
I'm exaggerating
Dave,
a little bit. I mean, I'm just saying. But
to your point, though, Dave, like I actually think that. So it's hard, right? Like, so I made it when I announced this topic to you guys. I was like, okay, there's a lot of things I can't control or I don't know. Like, I don't know how far out they book their venues, because sometimes they do that a year in advance, and that's a contract. In other words, if they book the Ash Center or whatever, though, or we'll just go with the Forum, for example.
mm-hmm.
If they book that a year in advance, if you cancel, you still have to pay. So let's say, I'm just throwing a number out there. I don't know this to be true. Let's say it's $50,000 for the night to rent the Forum. If you cancel after you signed a contract with them, you still have to pay $20,000 to cancel or whatever it is, whatever. So I don't think that that's going to be profitable for him to do it because he's going to cancel venues and then he's going to have to pay a holding fee or a, we thought you were going to be here fee. Like it's when you return something or when you book a hotel room. If you cancel the hotel room too close to your stay date, they're going to charge you a fee because they could have rented it. So you can't do that like right now. Because I don't know the logistics of that. My whole point on that is I don't know the logistics.
And if you're not
what
selling
WCW
tickets, right?
started doing before Bischoff even took over, the only thing Jim Herd did right was they went to amphitheaters, and it's a concert stadium, not a stadium. That's the wrong word to use. It's a concert venue, right? Where, like if we look at an arena, if we go to buy tickets for the Forum, it's an oval. When you look over the top of it, it's an oval. And you put the ring in the middle, and then they pull the stage up depending on how many tickets they sold or whatever.
Yeah, amphitheater's one way out.
Yeah, an amphitheater is like a half. It's a half of. It's a half. It's a half moon, half a theater. So what WCW was doing is they would come out. They would come out from the stage area. That's where the entrance was. If you go back and look at any WCW pay-per-view in 91, 92, even early 93, they were in amphitheaters. It made it look better because you could actually fucking fan the camera around and not see empty seats. Where if you're renting out the Arthur Ashe Stadium that holds, 18,000 people, I don't know if that's what it holds for wrestling, but, and you only put 7 in there, holy shit, or 9. I think they only put 9 in there this last year, or a couple weeks ago when they just had Dynamite there. It was half empty. So you can't do anything. Any angles you do, I want to say last week or the week before on Collision or Dynamite, they fought in the crowd and they couldn't. Like once they got in the crowd, the camera zoomed so fucking tight in, and because they knew if we zoom out, you're going to see all the fucking empty seats. So why would you book a fucking spot where you jump out in the crowd, but they can't do anything? So get in a smaller amphitheater where the venue only holds 6,000. So if you put 5 in there, that's awesome. You could fan your camera. It looks better. I think he needs to do better, but he may not be able to. To Dave's point and my point, it's booked out too in advance. He probably can't. Sure. But I think, I stole this from somebody else.
That's a meet in the middle, though, Jess. That's a meet in the middle. It's not outrageous.
Because he does have to worry about the gate. Like his TV deals aren't as big as WWE to pay all his wrestlers' salaries, so he needs the gate. Tony Khan needs to sell tickets. It absolutely has to happen.
He's got 4 hours of live TV every week. I mean, I think they tape Rampage, right? But they do Collision and Dynamite live. So if you're not selling out Dynamite, how the fuck are you going to sell the 3 nights later in another city? And then
I hate
Rampage.
To say it, by the way,
it's just
everyone, if you read it, because I got inspired because I'd read everybody on Twitter or whatever what they think that they need to do, and everybody's like, drop Rampage. I'm like, Rampage. Yeah. Rampage is their most profitable show. Why would you drop that? And the reason why it's the most profitable is because they tape it after Dynamite. They're already there. So even if it's only getting 300,000 viewers, it costs nothing to make now. That Rampage is a show they shouldn't drop, to be honest, because it's taped after.
I still think it dilutes the product. I would do the same thing. I tape Collision. And
I was going to say put Ring of Honor in Rampage spot, and even if you have to still call it Rampage because you signed a contract,
Ring of Honor
Rampage would be on there. Ring of Honor Rampage. I think that they should
that would be cool.
have that. I think
you can convince the network that Ring of Honor has more brand equity than Rampage for sure.
Yes, and that's a good point.
I feel like we're talking about a lot of the same stuff. Like that, to your point,
in primetime wrestling, remember,
it's a money saver for sure.
They had a 2-hour block for primetime wrestling, and then they snuck in the Bobby Heenan show for the last half an hour. So you have to talk to the network. Craig is right. You have to go to the network and be like, we want to change Rampage to Ring of Honor. And then the network has to go, is ROH the same value as AEW? Because you got to put that above the... So, and Craig says you could sell that in a good way. I don't think you should drop Rampage. I think you should change it to Ring of Honor because it's already being taped after Dynamite. You're already in the arena. You've only booked one venue. It's free in that sense. So even if it only gets 300,000 views,
we're not that far apart from where we started to where we're talking. I still think, to your point, I got pretty extreme. I'll admit, like, just fucking tape everything, like, or just have everything in one venue every single week and just let it ride.
And I think I stole this
when you're already in contract for a ton of stuff.
I stole this from Brian Alvarez of all people, but it made 100% sense. He's like, okay, he's like, your product spread thin. He's like, your product spread thin. And he's like, so you need to go back to grassroots. He's like, the problem with AEW is they don't do anything grassroots. Tony Khan pretty much relies on in his contract, he has a certain amount of advertising time that TBS and TNT, they run ads for Dynamite and Collision and all that. That's all built into their contract. but he does nothing else except if it's social media, then he does it on social media. He's like, you have to be grassroots. You have to, if you have Collision at the forum or whatever, the day before, you should have Edge and Bryan Danielson and all the other people that you can have there in front of this theater or in front of the ticket booth, signing autographs for free, doing whatever to get people to come down to there the day before and get your last minute tickets.
They'll grab a ticket at the window before they leave.
Even if they sell an extra 500 to 1,000 seats, that's old school, by the way. That's old school. And he's like, you have to do it. And he said back in the day when they would do TV tapings for syndicated for WWF, he said he remembers when he was a kid, his dad took him to a Superstars taping. And he was like, oh, man, I get to go see a Superstars taping. That's so cool. And it was just a generic lineup. You're going to see Hacksaw Duggan. You're going to see Jake Roberts, or whoever they were going to tape in that, because they would tape like almost 4 weeks, in one night. But you know what sold the tickets? In a dark match in the main event, Hulk Hogan defends the World Heavyweight Championship against King Kong Bundy. Everybody fucking came to watch Hulk Hogan, but they just happened to be at a taping. So he's like, that's what got us there. You got to start doing that with Collision. Collision's going to fail first before Dynamite because it's the second show.
Yeah.
So what you do on Collision is it's 2 hours, right? Live. And then in the third hour, you keep people and say, by the way, the dark match main event after the taping of Collision is going to be Edge versus Kenny Omega. You don't think that wrestling fans are going to be like, oh shit. Yeah. Like, if I know that it's here in the forum, I may not go. But, I don't want to see a Dynamite. Wait, what's the main event? Oh, fuck. Edge versus Omega with Christian as a special guest referee in the dark match. I want to go see that shit.
And the crowd hangs around till the end of that.
Yes, and they hang around till the end, and you're going to sell more tickets because people are going to be like, oh shit, or MJF defends the world title against Edge. Why would you not go watch that in a dark match? There's no title change, but you're going to go watch it, and you're going to watch to see if they have good chemistry. And you know what? I know everyone's got a phone and they're going to record it, but if it doesn't happen on their television show, we're all going to forget about it. It doesn't fucking happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's true. Even though everybody can tape it, it doesn't matter. But you may not want to go to your local arena to watch a Dynamite taping. However, if you find out in the dark match in the main event, Edge versus MJF, I'm going to go watch that shit. Like, because they're not doing it on TV. So he's like, you almost have to do your separate in a weird way to Dave's point. Maybe I don't disagree with Dave as much, but I mean, like, it's you can drive your live gate separately from what you do on television. In other words, your storylines, what airs on Collision and Dynamite is separate. You could still have your Hogan and Bundy main event. You could do that, and it doesn't matter who wins. I mean, Hogan always won, but it doesn't matter. MJF can pin Edge.
Don't put it on TV because you're not really selling it yet. Save that for the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
that just proves that.
So I thought that was a good idea by Brian Alvarez. He's like, I know it's old school, but if you're, he's like, if you're dipping, he's like, you have to do whatever you have to do for each individual show and each individual market. Don't skip on them. Give him a fucking match for free. Who cares? He's like, if it doesn't play out in your storylines and you don't air it on TV, who cares if someone airs it on their phone from social media? It doesn't matter. You know what that's going to do? That's going to show people that, oh, fuck, they have dark matches.
Go to my
they have Edge against Christian. And then people will want to go out and watch it more. They're at that point now in order to catch them, like to put that safety net to stop themselves from dropping further, because you don't want to get to a point where fucking like WCW Nitro was at the end, where literally, I think, Craig, we almost went to the Irvine Spectrum. That place can hold 15,000 people. 1,500 people were there for Monday Nitro. Like, oh my 1,500 people.
It's a sad end, man. It's a sad end to it.
Because they weren't doing anything to try to draw you in.
By Jeff Jarrett on the night before.
That's when you got ripped by Jeff Jarrett.
Sober up.
So that's I really like that. You spice that up. If possible, Dave kind of talk. I mean, I know Dave went the extreme. You go to smaller venues, you make them look bigger. Keep pushing the long storylines on TV. If you want to go on TV, I think they're doing it right. Yeah. I think for a long time they stopped.
I think he's a long-term storyteller. Tony Khan is.
I think he likes it, and like I think that like they're doing it now. It's just there was a gap for a year and a half where they were trying to punk experiment, where they didn't tell good storylines and they just start and stop stuff every week.
That hurt them. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I think they
could have made a ton of money off that. I talk about that over and over. That was another thing. That's hindsight, but I'm like, you should have made money.
But everything's after, right? What do they always say about ratings? Like when the ratings start to dip, you were actually doing something bad a year ago that people stopped liking.
Yes.
So it takes a year for it to catch up. Yeah. That's what Tony Khan needs to look at what he did a year ago and go, that killed me. And then he needs to update it. I think he's doing.
Has it been about a year since the Punk thing? Went off
over a year, a little over a year. It's been that time frame, yeah. Because he did the whole.
When you come back and you anticipate all that, and you didn't try to sell that story that was right in front of your face because it was real, and you just ignored it, people were like, "What the?" What the fuck?
1,000%.
when it gets.
And then my last thing was allow talent to find themselves. Look at Tony Storm. Look at MJF.
Yeah.
Tony Storm makes me fucking laugh. Like, and then now her whole
She's doing
thing. Do you hear
very
what she
well.
does now? She gets out. She's like, you know what it's time for? And everyone's like, she's all a titty slap, and then she chops him. It's just a chop that she does. But and then she goes, and then her opponent's on the ground. She's like, give me those titties, like, and she does it. It's fucking
Yeah.
great. Like, it's,
What did she? What did she say
again,
about the shoe? Watch out for the
Yeah.
shoes, and she tried to hit.
Yeah, she's like, watch out for the
Her
shoe. She
t-shirt's
throws a
like
shoe
chin
like at
up,
Renee every
head
time.
up,
She's
She's like,
tits out.
seriously?
Like that's her shirt.
tits out. Yeah.
And then watch
So-
out for the. And then watch
Yeah.
out for the shoes, and she.
Tony Storm, a Storm Zero, the pile driver, 2 and 3.
The winner of this match, Timeless Tony Storm.
Well, that's the first victory ever. We witnessed history for Timeless Tony Storm. Her first ever victory as Timeless Tony Storm. That's history.
Shoe at her.
But you got to
like,
let let
fantastic.
people experiment, right? Look at Christian. I mean, Christian always had this knowledge, right? They just never call on him. And then when
Yeah.
they call on Christian, he hits a fucking grand slam because he's Christian. Like, and he has all the education and all the legendary status that you need out of somebody. And now Edge is going to come and feed off that energy. I think it's good stuff ahead storyline wise.
I'm starting to feel like
Oh,
Christian is the most underrated man in wrestling. For 20 years.
But those are my little bullet points I
Yes.
want to let you guys go to. I always think about what Bischoff said. He is a snake oil salesman. Bischoff is full of shit sometimes, but he's the only guy that's breathed that rare air where he actually overtook Vince for a bit in the North American wrestling
Sure.
area. He said there's 3 things you can be when you're going in competition with somebody. You can be better than, you can be less than, or you can be different than. And he said he knew he couldn't be better than Vince ever. Everybody tried that in WCW before and they failed. They were trying to copy him with
Do
Oz
the
and
same thing, only
Ratmaster.
better, and you can't because
Yep.
Vince is
He's like,
doing
and
it
then
the best.
he's like,
And
why
you
would you
can't
go into business to be less than? He's like, you know what makes me mad when people are like, I just want a piece of the pie. Fuck that. He's like, I want the whole fucking pie. So he's like, I decided to be different than. And at first, he's like, people thought when I just bought Hogan and Savage and Duggan and all them or whatever, I was trying to be like Vince. I wasn't. I was just trying to get the eyeballs to come over to my product and the advertisers to be like, I recognize Hulkamania. I recognize Macho Man.
He
got
knew that.
Slim Jim.
He
got all
understood
these
that,
stuff.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
he did it. And
Smart.
then he decided, I want to be different than. So when he launched Nitro, he's like, I want it to be different than Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw is a soap opera. It's a television show. I want to be like a reality-based cruiserweight division. I want something different and fresh. He decided to be different than. I think Tony Khan needs to stop fooling himself, and he needs to, become an on-screen talent. Can you imagine if he was the 2023 version of Eric Bischoff, how much shit would be thrown at him in the ring, trash, how much he'd be booed? He's got to do it right.
needs to do
but
it.
For him to be like, for him to finally
I
just
hate him
even
already.
cite Punk and just be like, you know what? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Mr. Khan.
Just
could
go with it, man. Just go with it.
He's got to be. He'll never do it. But he's got
McCon.
to
I
do
think
that.
we've made that joke before. Mr. McCon is
McCon-
very good.
Back in the old time.
Right.
That would be the only way he could pull
They-
that
So
off.
Dave, I was
squandered that
premature,
opportunity.
Dave, when I said I didn't agree with you because you were actually saying the same thing as me. You were just being extreme in the sense of like you got to rethink your shit. You got to rethink your venues and all that stuff. You have to rethink a lot of it. But I want to hear Cousin Craig for sure because
Yeah.
I know you guys have a lot to say.
Oh,
Cuz I'll
Cuz.
just shut it down.
I was-
Cuz I'll
I
shut
was
it down.
waiting
Shut
for
it down.
Craig.
Oh, okay, I'll
Just in
go.
case.
And mine will
Just
be
in
quick.
case.
Mine will be quick. Get a streaming service because even as
Oh,
I've said this
God,
before,
yes.
but
Yeah,
even
thank you.
as big fans as we are, we're not paying $50 a month like it's 1995.
No, I'm not gonna
Or actually, Jess is not paying $50 a month. We just bought pizza or tried to pitch in. But yeah, we're not doing that. As much as fans as we are, I miss WrestleDream, and because we can follow it on Twitter or social media, we get the highlights. We don't need, even though we love the thing of all watching something together and watching pay per view
Oh, yeah.
together.
It's so
But-
old school to have a pay per view.
There's no way I'm watching WrestleDream and then we missed the week after All Out, right? The second one. So it's like
oh, that was all
sure.
in, and then all out.
so and there's no place to also get like for fans to kind of dive in the history and see the last 4 years. So if you don't figure that out too, because you're already doing an uphill battle by being for adults only or for men, right? Because
there's so much good content there, Craig.
He
too.
bought the Ring of Honor library.
Right.
God,
Yeah, I know.
put it on. Put it on
women
streaming.
don't like Moxley cut himself every week. Women just blood everywhere. Like and families don't like curse words. Like they're just missing millions and millions what Vince had to do to get to that next level. And that's fine. Tony doesn't need to go that next level. AEW does not need to be that. but just know that you're going to miss 20, 30% of an audience. You will never hit that stratosphere.
Of that revenue
That's
share.
okay.
Yeah.
Like
Not even that.
seems like
The
it.
more of an advantage, they started out on TBS and TNT. That nobody gets that
Yeah.
treatment. So he can't fuck this up. He got a leg up. TNA had to fight. They did
For Spike,
weekly pay-per-views. Remember TNA weekly pay-per-views? They did weekly $10 pay-per-views because that totals 4 weeks in a month is what you would pay for a WWF pay-per-view. Jeff Jarrett and them put their balls on the line and they did weekly pay-per-views for a bit. And then they finally got like a syndicated deal on Saturdays on some network. I don't remember what it was. And then they got Spike. That, like, they had to fight for that. Tony Khan, because his father's worth millions and so is he just went right to TBS and TNT. He said, remember WCW? And they're like, we love that. And even though they hated WCW at the time, like, and then they're like, yeah, I want to do a wrestling thing. I'm going to back it up. I'm going to produce everything. I'm going to do this. And then he showed him the independent show where they the original All In, where they sold out, whatever. And then he fucking sold them. He's got to sell us now. Yeah. He did the networks. He sold the networks. He sold the corporate suits or whatever. Now he's got to sell the fans. He's got to show us that he can be around.
Where do I sign? Yeah. Where do I sign?
The problem with Tony Khan, and I think what he did with Ring of Honor and the Honor Club was a test to see what his audience would buy. Because the two options are, you go on HBO Max with a deal with TBS or Discovery, which owns TBS, TNT, and all that stuff, TNT and all that stuff, and you probably give them a piece of everything. And they probably want part ownership, right? I think what he did with Honor Club is like, Honor Club's all mine. You pay $5, we're hosting it. Sure. I'm gonna do it. Can we make money? And I don't think people have bought Honor Club.
But Craig, that's why Raw and SmackDown can't be on the network for like months.
Right. Because Vince just deals with everybody. Yeah. He's got his own peak with NBC, but he's also doing these other. Tony's only in bed with Discovery, and then he's still waiting to see what's more money for me and more profitable. A standalone streaming.
Maybe he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's lining up that licensing appropriately.
He's trying. He's figuring it out. He's going to make a decision when he figures out what makes more money.
If you can put the weekly AEW stuff on within like 2 or 3 weeks onto that platform after it airs, and you got that contract worked out the way it is. Yeah, he gets the click. He gets the clicks. He gets the TV deals, and then he gets the monthly revenue stream.
But Cuz, what? Please, I'm dying. Go ahead, Cuz. Like,
I think he's perfect. I think he's the best.
So funny.
As always, you can.
No, actually, I was gonna say stop right there for audio fans.
No, I think the audio are doing this episode. I love him. Anyway,
I think it's a combination of everything that you guys said, and then the other part is I think he just needs to start with. From the inside, he needs to have that not like a Vince McMahon, but someone like that. We've always said this before, but he needs a combination of everything what you guys said plus that part. But I think that's where he needs to start. I think he needs to start at that point. First, let me get someone that's going to be my
someone who's gonna lay down the law. This is the deal. This is the decision. You don't have a
whether it's the talent relations guy you're going to have do that. You can work out
to finish however you want, but this is who's going over tonight. And that's it.
Well, I think that's what he loves the most. Like, he loves to have the pencil. And the rest of the bullshit probably takes up.
He doesn't do anything.
The most of his the most of his time.
He just stands there and fears for his life.
If he's the one making the decision of who goes over, that's a big deal.
Because you need to have someone there that would have been
that's why he's putting up all that
Dave,
money.
Like you brought up losing the money on the CM Punk stuff. Like, you needed that someone there to be like, get over here. You guys are going to talk it out or fight it out. And then after that, we're going to make money off of it. Like,
well, plus I wanted to try this too, because we always do like, our unscripted episodes, or we talk about the topical wrestling, what happened that week and what's happening the next week or whatever. But I wanted to do a topic that was a little bit more topic, because AEW is a focus point right now, right? It's no secret that ratings are down. It's no secret that attendance is down. They just got Edge, or excuse me, Adam. And it's looking good. The MJF and Adam Cole, it sucks that Adam Cole got injured, but I mean, that storyline people like. Yep. They like it.
They like it.
They're into Christian makes us fucking laugh, and Edge is going to be a perfect foil for him. I love it. So I can't wait to see it. He's doing good with the storylines right now, but to Dave's point, my point, Cuz's point, he's got stuff to do. And Craig's point, he's got stuff to do in the back. He's got to bring a buffer in the back. He's got to do different things. Let Toni Storm and people like her. Fuck, it's great that Toni Storm found that gimmick. It's awesome. And now she's doing the silent movies and the little vignettes, which is really funny.
Let her
and she's got
tits out. That's fine.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, let me slap your titties. Like, it's it's so great. Like, and it's just, and they are more adult oriented.
Yeah.
They're trying to hit older audience or whatever, which is fine. But all of our points on this episode, you got to guide it. You kind of got to mold it like clay. You have to make sure that, like, okay, like I'm still doing structured stuff, but I'm also allowing people to be creative. But if drama gets out of control, I got to squash the drama. I got to squash the toxicity. I got to squash, a lot of things. And so he's young.
That's the other
He's gotta
part. He
learn,
needs to stop
like-
partaking in that stuff too online.
Yes.
Oh, we didn't even touch
That's-
that this
it's
episode.
like
Once again,
yeah, go
Once
off,
again,
Cuz.
it's the optics. It's the fucking optics, Craig. You know.
I love it how
true.
Vince's
True.
Twitter.
No,
Vince's,
you said
Vince's
you
Twitter
said that
feed,
cousin.
Vince's was just like, "Happy birthday,
Yeah,
Adam
happy
Copeland."
birthday, Adam Copeland.
That was
Happy
like
birthday,
the
Undertaker.
yeah.
A true pioneer in this sport. May
What a great.
We
man.
love you so much.
77 years, time to retire. Always.
He's
now,
all, like,
forever.
super polite
I didn't
online.
touch those women.
that looks like a good recipe for a turkey. Like just,
Oh, jeez.
he's always just reposting recipes and shit. No,
I
but
don't know.
Yeah, he's
I like this free.
I miss cookie boys.
Like,
Oh man, for audio
Frenchie
fans,
Martin was
give us a. That's right.
I like that. I like this episode that we freeformed. It was a lot of fun, but we solved nothing. Tony Khan,
No.
don't listen to anything that we say.
Don't
right
listen
now.
to us. Give us a
Stay
listen on
offline.
Apple, Spotify,
Don't
SoundCloud,
be a dick.
iHeartRadio,
Exactly.
and
Don't
Google
be a dick
Podcasts.
online, TK.
Yeah.
Thank
Or
you.
watch our videos on YouTube at our wrestling channel. On social media, can you give us a follow
a
on
start.
Instagram
It took
at
45 minutes to
OWP
get there, by the
2019
way.
or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast.
perfect.
For Uncle Cuz and the rest, this is the OWP signing off. Have a good one, Tony. We love you.
Why does Cuz
Keep
get
going.
top billing?
Keep
Bullshit.
going, buddy.